Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another episode of our Raw Reaction series, joining you every single morning at 8 a.m. UK time. Hope you're doing good and well and enjoying your week. We'll start off by saying a congratulations to, of course, Everton for confirming their survival in the Premier League with a victory over Crystal Palace. However, I didn't want to skip over the video that's probably been circulating and you probably have seen of a Crystal Palace fan goading Patrick Vieira, to which he then reacts and kicks out at the fan. It's obviously a difficult one because you don't want to see him kicking out, but he's being harassed and goaded and with the phone being put in his face and everything like that. So it'll be intriguing how the authorities, if any action is indeed taken either way. But we've seen a few things, regarding pitch invasions and what's happened because of those pitch invasions. We've seen, for instance, in the Gillingham Rotherham game, both sets of fans invade the pitch, in which that saw scuffles break out. I mean, this is the first season I've really seen that happen. Usually, only one team of fans run onto the pitch to celebrate what they're getting promoted or, keeping themselves up from relegation. But now we're starting to see both sets of fans come onto the field to cause issues. We're seeing a thing like we saw at Everton. We've seen the assault of Billy Sharp by a Nottingham Forest fan who's now gone to jail for 24 months. So, it's something that's needing to be addressed and talked about and discussed a lot more. You won't see Arsenal fans, I don't think, invading the pitch unless something maybe crazy happens on Sunday. But even then, I'm not sure that it would take place. We'll have to wait and see what indeed does happen. But something needs to be done because, Everton fan, not Palace fan. Apologies. That was the one on Patrick Vieira. Yes, the Everton fan. But yeah, it's a frustration that I think needs to be certainly looked into a lot more. Anyway, that's that tackled this morning. Good morning to everybody joining us in the chat box. Good morning. Let's say hello to people. Nikolai, good morning to you. Getting in there first. Hare, good morning to you. Barnett, Matt G, Axel, Bradley, Mark, Brad Lynch. Good morning, guys. Simon, Martin, Jonty, John, we've got Paul, Anthony, Afsar. Good morning, guys. Hope you're doing good and well. Manu, Damien Sartvik. We've got Langa, Noel joining us. So let's scroll down a little bit more. Ife, good morning to you. To Mark, good morning to Gunjobi. Good morning to Chronicles of a Gamer. I wonder where you got that name from. And good morning to Mr. Mute and to Luca as well. Good morning, guys. Hope you're doing good. And well, let's have a look into our stories. We kick off by always telling you to go and subscribe to the Arsenal Way. I'll be live over there at 10 a.m. this morning. We'll be talking all about more links with Arsenal transfers and, of course, looking ahead to Mikel Arteta's press conference today, which is certainly going to be an interesting one to talk about, discussions around what we've missed out on, about who we might even choose to play on Sunday, because we've got some issues regarding team selection and players available. So make sure that you tune in and subscribe to the Arsenal Way, because you'll be able to watch back that press conference on the channel. Now, also, first thing I want to say is that tonight at the Tollington, there is an event going on that is being run by Mike of Gooners versus Cancer. If you'd like to come along and meet a lot of your, favourites and some of your non-favourites Arsenal content creators, there's going to be a lot there this evening. More details are on the Gooners versus Cancer Twitter account, so make sure you go over there. But it should be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it. So if you want to come along, the information is on the Gooners v Cancer Twitter account at the Tollington after 7 o'clock tonight. Now, Dinos Mavropanos has officially now left Arsenal. He will join Stuttgart in a deal that will see Arsenal get around £3 million on top of that. Includes the loan fee that we got for him as well. It's not a significant amount of money. It's a really poor deal from Arsenal that's turned out to be probably a loss of around at least 10 million euros. I expect Stuttgart will get a significant profit on Mavropanos, even if they look to sell him this summer. it's a really bad example of business by Arsenal. It's actually a good example of the bad business that Arsenal do, I suppose, and it's certainly one that Arsenal need to learn from in the future, and Edu does in particular. Now, Thomas Partey will unfortunately not be available on Sunday. He has been confirmed to be missing still for the game against Everton. So for anyone that was hoping that he might make a swift return for that fixture, that is not the case. He will not return. He will recover into next season and continue his recovery and try to be back. But he will not be available for that game. Moving forward to Reiss Nelson, who's a very, very interesting story because it's developing that Arsenal have supposedly been impressed by his performances with Feyenoord this season. He's done very well, especially in the second half of the campaign. Been impressing, been starting plenty of games, has helped them get to the UEFA Conference Final, which of course he will play in next week. Make sure you're watching that game to find out what happens between Feyenoord and Jose Mourinho's Roma, of course. And Tammy Abraham will be involved. Ainsley Maitland-Niles possibly as well. Could get some minutes in that final. But Arsenal are said to have been impressed by what has happened with Reiss Nelson and that they will assess his future at the club come the summer. So there is possibly still hope that Reiss Nelson has a future at Arsenal, one that we will certainly need to keep an eye on before the start of next season. Now, Arsenal's interest in Arthur Melo has not ended yet, and reports coming out from Italy are that they want to take Arthur Melo on a permanent deal this summer, despite the fact that they were unable to confirm a 2-year loan deal for the Brazilian midfielder in January. I have a few doubts about this story, considering that Arsenal weren't keen on doing a longer than a 1-year loan at the time, or even a 6-month loan rather at the time. And now all of a sudden they're open to do a permanent deal. It does strike me as a little bit odd. I think this is because of the links with Gabriel Magalhaes to Juventus. Juve are said to have him at the top of their possible list of defenders that they want to sign to replace Giorgio Chiellini this summer. And that Arthur being linked to Arsenal makes it obviously an easy story to put together in regards to a possible swap deal. But Gabriel Magalhaes is not, in my view, going anywhere. There's no intention from Arsenal to sell him, and there's actually intentions from Arsenal to try and sort out a brand new contract for Gabriel this summer to ward off any potential interest and to make sure that they lock him down past the end of his 2025 contract expiry date, which would be a good move for the club to make sure that they do. And it would fall in line with the 2-year contract cycles that we're starting to see develop at the club as well. But if Gabriel is to leave, Arsenal would need a replacement, and that replacement could be, I hope not, but it could be Samuel Umtiti from Barcelona, who has been linked with a move to Arsenal. Again, I feel this is a story that has maybe cropped up because of prior interest from Arsenal in the French defender, and with Gabriel being linked with a move to Juventus, it therefore makes sense to see them linked again with a player in the past they have had an admiration for, like Umtiti. I'm not expecting anything to change or develop in this area. I'm not expecting Gabriel to move. I'm not expecting Umtiti to come to Arsenal this summer. Who knows what will happen in the end, but I'm not expecting any of those deals to happen. And that concludes all of today's stories as well. So let's wait and see what happens regarding these moves. But I don't expect any of those that we have talked about today really to come to fruition. Umtiti's not coming to Arsenal, I don't think. Gabriel, I expect, will sign a contract renewal maybe this summer. Arthur, I don't think Arsenal will go in for this summer, despite their interest in the player in January. Reiss Nelson still might have a future at the club, and we won't see Thomas Partey before the end of the season. Without further ado, though, let's go into the chat box and go through some of your questions after this short break. Okay, then. Let's see what you guys have got to say. Let's go to Ollie, who says, Tom, my grandfather used to play for Arsenal in the 70s, and my dad has been taking me to Arsenal games since I was 4. But now I support Man City. Wow, Ollie, that's... I feel sorry for your dad and your granddad if that's the case. Louis says, seems like a good deal to me. Lynn says, good morning. Good morning to you, Lynn. Marcus Nelson stays. Pepe goes. No wide player coming in. What are your thoughts on that? I think I would be disappointed. I still think we need to try and improve that wide area in particular. With Nelson, there's a risk associated with him staying. I think Smith Rowe's future may lie more centrally, despite the fact I think he plays better in the wide area. I think that Arsenal will look to have him as a potential option with Ødegaard and those two to compete with one another, especially if they move more to a 4-2-3-1 again with a more established number 6/8 that they'll partner with Thomas Partey maybe next season, depending on the future of Granit Xhaka. And the left-hand side position, I think, is right for a Cody Gakpo or a Moussa Diaby, one of these types of players. So I would be a little bit disappointed, I think, if we did end up superseding our interest in a wide player in order to keep Nelson. Bernard says, would you be disappointed if we signed Calvert-Lewin? I guess so, because I think that there are better options out there, Bernard, to be honest. I think there are much better options out there than Calvert-Lewin, but we'll wait and see. Lee says, if we had time to keep either Saliba or Gabriel, which one would you sell? Lee says he would sell Saliba. I agree with you. I think you could get a very, very good fee for Saliba, and I think Gabriel is the more established, more well-rounded defender of the two right now. Sure, Saliba's got a potential that's higher than Gabriel's, possibly, but that's the risk. So I think I would, lean towards Gabriel, but I want to keep both of them at the club. Mehdi, I've just missed your question because the chat box is mugging me off. There we go. Do you think Arteta needs to improve how he mentally prepares teams for games? Feel he is too intense for big games and puts too much pressure on the young players? I mean, we've got one of the better records with Arteta in charge against the big sides. Wins, a win at Anfield in the League Cup. A win against Spurs, a win against Chelsea at back-to-back wins at Stamford Bridge. Back-to-back home wins against Manchester United. We've taken points. We've nearly beaten Man City, and Liverpool at home as well. The gap between those performances has closed significantly. So I'm not sure if that's right, because we have performed a lot better against these bigger sides when those games have come around. I just think at the end of this season, when we played against Spurs, for instance, we just haven't had the players available, and we've had so many injuries that it's affected us massively. Cass says, I recently saw a report Arsenal had moved on from Melo and Arsenal are looking at alternatives. So to me, it's just paper talk coming from the Italian end. Oh, God, no way. Umtiti is injury prone. Axel then asks, I know I sound like a broken record, but what happened to the links with Darwin Núñez? I really fancy him alongside Gabriel Jesus. Because Arsenal aren't getting Champions League football, it does not seem like that's probably put pay to that deal. Núñez would have cost a significant amount of money that maybe Arsenal were uncomfortable in committing to, around 80 million euros. And it said that he wanted to go to a Champions League club. So maybe that's why we won't necessarily see him at Arsenal next season. Let's go to Neil, who says, what will be the signing fee for Calvin Phillips? No idea whatsoever, but possibly if they go down around 25 to 30 million pounds, there might be a possible clause in that deal. Sanjit says, would you rather have one top class and other backup average, or both good and good quality? I have seen the gap in our first team squad, and the backup is a huge in current squad. Look, Arsenal shouldn't have the word backup in any kind of position, in my opinion. We should have competitive options in all positions. I don't necessarily want to see positions that are filled with a starter and a backup. I want to see positions that are filled by a starter and someone that is competing to start instead of them. That's what I want to see at Arsenal for the long term. Whether or not that happens, of course, is a very, very different thing. Shreya says, hi, Tom. Juventus want both Gabriel and Partey from us. If we sell them, for how much? And do you prefer anyone from Juventus? I don't think we will sell them. If we do sell them, you're looking to get at least probably about 100 million for both. We have no reason to sell either. Partey, to sell him for anything less than what we bought him for would be a failure. And Gabriel has at least doubled his value since he's come to Arsenal, without a shadow of a doubt. But no, any from Juventus? Rabiot is obviously a very good central midfielder I look at. But to be honest, not really. Vlahovic is not going anywhere, and to be honest, has struggled a little bit since he's signed for them. Chiesa, I guess, would be one of the big ones for a wide position, but beyond that, no. Let's go down a little bit more and see some more questions from the chat. Let's go to O'Malley, who says, do you think we are ahead of some teams in the rebuild stage? Chelsea have spent a ridiculous amount of money. They're probably ahead of us, and they've got a coach that took them to a Champions League win. Man United, we are definitely ahead of. Spurs, they've already got two established world-class players in Kane and Son, and of course we've got Antonio Conte. But there's no guarantees that they push on next season because it's Spurs. It's very unpredictable, but there's no guarantees for us either. I think we're ahead of Manchester United, and I think the table reflects that, and the managerial situation reflects that. Chelsea and Spurs, Chelsea definitely not, but Spurs are a bit different. Could have been very different this season had we, have not had the injuries that we face come the end of the season. Fuad says it's imperative Arsenal spend properly this summer. Otherwise, it'll end up being a long season next year and it can go back to being a broken relationship between the fans and the club. I hope that we, do similarly in terms of spending that we saw last summer and improve the squad and move it forwards. Omar says, do you think we will finish fourth? Any faith? No, I don't. I have to be honest. I don't think Spurs are going to lose to Norwich. And, Everton are now safe. Will that mean that they'll play with the handbrake off against us on Sunday? Who knows? I'm not going to be able to watch the game because I'm at a wedding. First game I'm really missing this entire season. I think it is the first game I'm missing all season because of the wedding. But I'm actually a little bit glad. I think I'm just going to check my phone in the evening and see what happens. And then I might go mad if something crazy has happened. Olu says, Gabriel Jesus and Calvert-Lewin are good options for me for the striking position. It is fanciful to think we should get two top-class strikers besides Liverpool. No other team in the world have two top strikers. Juventus have had Vlahovic, Dybala, Morata. You've got Barcelona with Aubameyang and Depay, and they're looking to get Lewandowski next season, so they'd have Lewandowski and Aubameyang at the club. So it's not always that teams don't have two top strikers. I mean, Man United have got Cavani and Ronaldo. Chelsea have got Lukaku and Werner. So you can have two, and Kai Havertz. You can have two, really good forwards at the club next season and two top class ones at that. And for a long time, we had Lacazette in his prime and Aubameyang in his prime. So it does happen, but I think that we need to make sure that we're clever with what we do. Nick says, hi, Tom. Late to the chat. I couldn't bear to go through selling our best players again. There'll be no excuse for that, but I don't think it will happen. Now, the reason for Nick's comment is because of the poll that I've put in the chat box this morning. I've said, do you think that Arsenal will aim to hold on to their best players unlike they did in the early 2010s? And of course, we saw the likes of Nasri, Fabregas, Van Persie, all these players leave. Alex Song, of course, moved on eventually too. We lost our key players and had to replace them, and we didn't replace them particularly well. Now, 84% of you says, yes, Arsenal are going to be aiming to hold on to these players and not open to selling them. 16% of you saying no. Once you have voted on that poll, please make sure that you drop a like on the video as well. It really does help us out. Let's go to Rahil says, if we are unable to bring in Jesus in this summer window, would you pick Patrick Schick? Yes, I would pick Patrick Schick. He's the one that I've wanted and the one that I always wanted. Omar says, is your phone insured? If you're caught checking your phone between the marriage, the missus will send it flying out the window. It's not my wedding. I'll make that clear. It is someone else's wedding. And they are very well aware that the games are on and that I probably will be checking my phone. Not during the ceremony. The phone will be off. Phone will be away. Not well in the special moment and all. But in the reception part, in the food bit, I will be checking the phone. It just will happen. I might switch it off for as long as I can. Maybe I'll try and get all the way through to 4 o'clock and then check it. We'll wait and see. But it's going to be buzzing away in my pocket, isn't it? It's what's going to happen. Nitish says, my worry is being in a similar situation this time next year. Injury horror and makeshift players in most positions. And that's what we've got to tackle this summer, Nitish. We've got to make sure we tackle the issue of not having good enough depth players in the squad and improving the players that we've already got. The best way to do that is upgrade upon your starting players this season. If you can upgrade upon your starters, then your starters become your cover, who are good enough to be, those people that come in and replace when we've got injuries, etc., or that we need to rotate. Stephen says, Tom, do you reckon we'll break our transfer record this summer? I don't think so. No, I don't think we're going to break our transfer record this summer. I think we'll go for, players in the region of around £50 million maximum, but only if a ridiculously good opportunity comes up would the club go that high for a player. But no, I don't think we will break our transfer record. But I think what we could do is break our transfer spending record. I think that's something. The one we set last season, I think there's a chance that we could break that record. Richard says, Tom, I finally watched Schick, and you're right. Some people are sleeping on him. I'd rather they didn't sleep on him. I'd rather they, brought him over to Arsenal. But I know what you mean. Let's go to, let's scroll up a little bit more. Which players would you loan to Norwich for Sunday? All of the, actually, I'll say that, we couldn't beat Spurs. I'd loan them from elsewhere, from other teams. Just, go and pick them up, drop them in Norwich for the game. Plus, Chris, who runs the Arsenal Way with me and Bailey, as well as all our fantastic helpers behind the scenes. He's actually based in Norwich, so we've got to come up with a lasagna plan. The lasagna plan is definitely something we've got to try for in that game. If you think back, this is actually very similar to the situation with in 2006, where Spurs had to, just beat West Ham United. And if we'd have won, or if we betted, I think it was their result against Wigan, we got it and we did that. But if you remember, there was the whole lasagna gate situation. Had Spurs beat West Ham, I think they would have got Champions League that season, and they didn't. They lost. So who knows? Maybe it'll be a repeat once again this time around. Who knows what will happen? Anyway, we're going to wrap things up there. Sorry for the slightly shorter show, but I'm starting work a little bit earlier today at 9. But as I said, please do come along tonight to the Tollington if you would like to help a great cause in Gooners versus Cancer. Information's on the screen. You can find out more info about if you want to come along at Gooners v Cancer on Twitter, at the Tollington, 7 p.m. onwards tonight in North London. Great cause, great opportunity to win and get involved in the raffle for what is one of the best Arsenal prizes you could possibly win ever. The Anfield 89 shirt signed by all of the 4 players that were involved in that very, very famous goal. Lukic, Dixon, Smith and Thomas have all signed it with the commentary on top of that as well. So an amazing prize, and there's chances, I think, to win. I think if you get involved and you donate, you get a piece of Arsenal art, which is I've seen of them and I've had a look at them, and they're very, very good indeed. So very interesting stuff. I might even have to get hold of those myself. Thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate your time, guys. As always, do drop a like on the video. Do subscribe to the channel if you're new. I will see you in just over an hour's time over on the Arsenal Way at 10 a.m. Link in the description as always. Find all my written work at football.london. And other than that, it's been a pleasure to speak to you as always. And as always, up the Arsenal.